Hey guys, Martin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I wanted to talk about the idea or the prospect of what is going to be coming after Heroes. I know that's a little way away now, but we did get confirmation, as I mentioned in the earlier video today where I went over the data download, due to the fact we now can see when the sales that are going to start for Heroes end in the game. Which is going to be the 27th of November. We now essentially know, unless there's going to be some real twist and turn surprise, which is very unlikely because Dokkan doesn't drop banners without sales. There is not going to be a part 2 banner, not going to be a secret like Heroes Carnival LR or anything like that. It literally looks like this is all we get when it comes to Heroes for this year, and then we will be expecting the next unit to drop, which will be the next upcoming Dokkan Fest. And as you can see here, last year we got the Android 21 Dokkan Fest drop on the 30th of November. So every year, you know, dates are roughly the same, but usually a couple of days out. So 27th or 28th for the next Dokkan Fest does line up very well, because obviously we know sometimes the sales end and then the next thing comes out like the next day. So if the sales end on the 27th, the next Dokkan Fest could be on the 28th or the 27th, right? So what I wanted to talk about in this video, and maybe this is just a bit more of the leftover cope from Heroes, but of course with the 21 Dokkan Fest being released last year, that means we got, right after Heroes, a crossover unit Dokkan Fest. So I wanted to talk about the possibility of there being another crossover Dokkan Fest being released this year after the Heroes celebration comes to an end. And obviously that would be very, very good for buffing the category. We know with the new units that have come out, they've some of them do have the crossover ally restrictions. They did say about removing the Heroes allies restriction as that specific category, but some of them have, of course, retained Heroes allies restrictions. But it would be quite nice to get more crossover buffs. So we're going to go over some of the potential things that we could see here. Crossover is an interesting category. Obviously all the Heroes characters are on here. It's mostly the Heroes characters, and then of course we have a couple of characters from other IPs, like 21 being from Fighters. We have the Fusions characters, we have Arale. Rip those units, of course, probably never going to come back. And yeah, there's a couple of other characters as well, right? Like the Super Saiyan 3 versions of characters that don't count as Heroes units because they were in other games originally. So we're just going to go over some of the options here that I think would be very cool for a future crossover Dokkan Fest. Obviously, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section and who you would like to see appear in a future Dokkan Festival as a crossover character. So one of the big ones that I've mentioned many times in the past, I've speculated about this, although that was, you know, crossover characters for a big celebration like that is probably a bit too much hopium, but I have speculated about things like this for things like Saiyan Day, and that is of course finally getting a new Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta in the game. I think that would be very, very cool. I talked about this in the video that I did the other day when it came to the, are some of these older crossover units finally going to get easy A's? And of course this is one of the units that is in question. This guy came out quite some time ago. His Dokkan Awakening was in 2021, so him getting an easy A would be very cool. But a new Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I mean, obviously that would be the perfect opportunity to awaken or easy A these guys. Of course, the problem is Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta being the only named Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, so any new units could cause a little bit of an issue, especially because one of the big super easy A's that we're waiting to see is this guy. So if he was going to get a super easy A, then obviously ideally we don't want the new unit in the celebration to also be a Super Saiyan 3 Goku. They've done this multiple times in the past and it's always very annoying. Like, the unit getting the easy A usually ends up being the option that then gets overlooked because the new Dokkan Fest, kind of like, you know, Dragon Fist Goku came out and they easy A'd the LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then obviously they had the same name. So it gets a little bit awkward, but The other option there, of course, is that we do have the Super Saiyan 3 GT Vegeta. There's two of those in the game, both who need easy A's, and he is technically a crossover character, even though he gets, which is weird, because he gets the GT link, because he's the GT version of Vegeta, but going Super Saiyan 3, which of course isn't a thing that happens in GT at all. So he counts as a crossover character, but still has the GT link. But then, of course, like, isn't on GT Heroes because he's not from GT. So it's very strange that he gets the link, really, in the first place anyway. But this guy with an easy A could be really good. But a new GT Vegeta could be interesting. Of course, suffers the same issue, where if this guy gets an easy A, then he has the same name. But something that could be very interesting that we've not seen, and, you know, we have Gokus that are kind of similar to this, is if we got like a Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that then transforms into Super Saiyan 3. I think that would be really cool. And then obviously that would get around the naming issue. That's a completely unique unit that we don't have in the game. Like, none of the Super Saiyan 3 Vegetas are transforming. Would be kind of cool, because especially like the animation, if it's an active skill, or even if it's just the start of a certain turn or something like that, would be kind of interesting to get an actual animation of Vegeta transforming from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 3. I think that would be very cool to see in the game as well, like in current era quality animations for Dokkan. I think that would be really good. So that's definitely something that I would be looking forward to as a Vegeta fan. Good buff for like the Vegeta family team, Pure Saiyans, all that kind of stuff. So I think that would be very nice. Of course, the new Goku, remember, has Power Beyond Super Saiyan as one of his 170 leads, and then obviously crossover is his plus 30%. So a new Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta would be on the Universe Tree Goku full 200% lead. So that would definitely be very, very cool. So Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, definitely high on the list of picks. Now, of course, you know, speaking of Super Saiyan 3, we have the Super Saiyan 3 Broly and the Super Saiyan 3 Bardock. It's crazy to me that, like, these units are obviously very old. Like, when they originally dropped, right, Bardock came out on JP November 2017, and Broly came out on JP June 2017. So in 2017, they just decided to drop two, like, non-canon Super Saiyan 3 characters from other existing Dragon Ball games, but they dropped them as actual Dokkan Fest exclusives. Like, and it's really interesting that they did that, and then obviously then didn't do that again, like, afterwards at all. I mean, there has been the odd other crossover, especially, like, you know, again, 21, who we've already mentioned. There has been other crossover Dokkan Fest, but it's just very strange that they did this in such a random, like, there was no, as far as I remember, there wasn't anything going on at the time. There was like a big special crossover event in another game or something where they then decided, oh yeah, we'll drop like a crossover Dokkan Fest. So the fact that they have done this in the past and then not really continued to do it much at a later date is a little bit disappointing, but is obviously an indication that they could potentially just do it again at some point. So a new Super Saiyan 3 Broly would be pretty cool, especially considering all the Broly love that we've got from the worldwide. Again, just like the Vegeta, these units could be transforming to Super Saiyan 3, which would be cool to get around the same name issue. I think it's a little bit too early for this guy to get a Super Easy A, though. Obviously, none of the 120 leads from that meta have gotten a Super Easy A yet. And I feel like this guy, if they were going to bring out a new Super Saiyan 3 Broly, like, surely you would Super Easy A this guy in that celebration. So it makes me feel like we probably won't get Broly. But Bardock could certainly be interesting, because depending on the version of Bardock they decide to do, he could be transforming, he could be straight up Super Saiyan 3. We do know, like, we're getting the LR free-to-play Bardock soon from the quest mode. Like, he's just got his TUR awakening a little while ago. So that could be very, very interesting. And, of course, a card that I've talked about wanting in the past, it used to be part of my old intro for the channel. Shout out to people that were around a good few years back. But the idea of having, like, a new Masked Saiyan, potentially the animation that I used to use in my intro, where Bardock puts on the, like, half-broken Timebreaker mask and then goes Super Saiyan 3. So that would be super cool as, like, a unit in Dokkan, having, like, a base Bardock. They could call him Xeno Bardock. I don't know how that crosses over with heroes. Can they call characters bracket Xeno and then not count as heroes characters? Because obviously Xenoverse is a thing. So I'm not sure if that is something that they can actually do. But Xeno Bardock, just so he doesn't name clash with any other base form Bardocks, but Xeno Bardock, who then transforms into Super Saiyan 3 Mars Saiyan, That would be really, really cool. I'd love to see that. And of course, Xenoverse, he technically, Marseillan is a Xenoverse crossover character. And Xenoverse is a thing that still exists and is still getting buffs. So that could be interesting. And then, of course, with some of the characters that we've gotten from the Heroes lineup this year and like the Easy A's and stuff like that, a couple of other characters directly tied to Marseillan and related to Xenoverse is obviously like Toa and Mira. So I don't know if we'd get a new Toa as a separate character because like a different crossover, but I could see an interesting unit being like Toa and Mira, and then give these guys their Easy A's, of course. They'd have a unique name. They could even have a similar thing with the transformation because Mira absorbs Toa and the Toki Toki egg to become the crazy like final form Mira. So you could have a card that is the two of them together that then has the active skill where he transforms into the final form Mira. That would definitely be very cool as well. So this is the thing, right, with Xenoverse still ongoing and the fact that Xenoverse still getting DLCs, still getting updates, like having another collab with them in the future is definitely a possibility. I mean, I think most people, if you asked people to like place bets and stuff, I don't think many people would have expected that we were just going to suddenly get another Fighters crossover last year in December. So a new Xenoverse crossover is definitely not out of the question. But I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting here at the end as well and go over some characters that we don't actually have in the game at all. And obviously the big one is the one from the thumbnail. And I'm sure many of you clicked on the video to hear my thoughts about that kind of thing. And we'll get into who it is in just a second. The reason why I think it would be quite interesting, I mean, I guess I could show the other image first, but we have our boy here, Gohan Black. So this guy, I guess I should really have said before I brought this image up, but this is kind of a spoiler for one of the what-if scenarios in Sparking. But, I mean, to be fair, the game's been out for a while now. I would imagine you've probably seen information about this somewhere. I'm sure I've mentioned it on a stream at least once before. But there's a what-if storyline where we go down an alternate timeline where Zamasu steals the body of Gohan instead of Goku. So then we get the future saga play out, but with a Gohan Black instead of Goku Black. And that would be very, very interesting, considering Sparking has just come out. Sparking doesn't really have a lot of its own unique characters like Heroes, but obviously this is a what-if where we do get a completely unique character. Like the fandom, ever since the Goku Black arc came into existence in Dragon Ball Super, there's been fan art of like Gohan Black and Chi-Chi Black and stuff like that, right? So it'll be, and it's an idea that's been floating around for a while. But with Sparking being a recent release, it'll be quite interesting to have this come out as a Dokkan Fest and be like a Sparking crossover unit. And one of the reasons why, like, you know, we could just be pulling this out of thin air. I mean, Sparking came out recently. I saw articles being posted by like IGN and all sorts of places about this Gohan Black scenario. So it's one that definitely did get a lot of attention. But something that came up very recently is, remember that Rose was recently on a Dokkan Fest banner. It was on the Roshi banner for Global. And there was this piece of information in the news where it says Goku Black Rose will also be available in summon events that are scheduled to become available in the near future. So basically telling us that he's going to be coming back on another banner quite soon. And so, of course, it would make perfect sense for, if there was going to be a Dokkan Fest Gohan Black, this guy to be featured on the banner, because assumingly they would share a ton of links. If we switch back to the wiki view and take a look at, we got, this is like Ultimate Gohan, but if we take a look at the Rose, obviously he has Super Saiyans, Big Bad Bosses, Dismal Future, Prepared for Battle, Nightmare, Fear and Faith, Fierce Battle. Now the Gohan doesn't actually go Rose when he has his like power up and he has his sort of little Goku Black speech where it's like, what do you think of this new form? His hair is still black and it's basically supposed to be like Ultimate Gohan Rose, kind of, right? Ultimate Gohan Black, essentially. So his hair doesn't change, but he gets like the Ultimate Gohan power up. So their link sets are obviously very, very different. Like, he's not going to have things like All in the Family, Saiyan Lineage, Z Fighters, right? So Shocking Speed, maybe. But if we look at like Rose's link set, he obviously doesn't have the link set of like a normal Goku unit. I guess Goku's in like base or Super Saiyan normally have prepared for battle, so he could have like shocking speed instead, because that is a very common Gohan link. But he would have dismal future, he would have big bad bosses, wouldn't have Super Saiyans, but if he's going to be ultimate Gohan Black, he could have power bestowed by God, which would be interesting. So I think that would be a very, very cool unit. And obviously Rose would have a new link partner, although of course he's not a Super Boss's character, but it could make Rose interesting to use again. And of course we have the Super Saiyan 3 Rose that transforms into full power, who's still relatively good. Like on a new, if he got a new 200% team with good link partners and support, he could still be a workable unit for some of the difficult content. So him having a new link partner would obviously be very cool. Of course, we'd get a buff for like some of these teams like Corroded Body and Mind. He would be on crossover in Human Deeds. I mean, if we look back at the Rose, like any of the categories that Rose gets, essentially a Gohan Black would get, right? Because these are all related to it being Zamasu and not specifically the fact that it's Goku's body, right? Like none of these categories are relevant to Goku specifically. So that would be really cool. Be on some decent categories, be a very cool buff for some of these teams, and definitely be an interesting new little crossover that we could get in the game. And then last but not least, I wanted to mention something that has been mentioned many times in the past, and someone mentioned it today when we were talking about crossover stuff, so I thought I would throw it in the video here. And that is of course SHALLOT, the main character from Legends. Him coming to Dokkan as like a crossover Dokkan Fest would be pretty cool, because he is a pure Saiyan. So he would be, you know, have buffs for some of these teams, have good links. Obviously in Legends, he has like all the Saiyan forms, I think now, right? He has blue and he has God and blue. I don't think he has a UI, but he has all the Super Saiyan forms like 1, 2, and 3. He has blue and God, I believe. So obviously if they brought out a Dokkan Fest SHALLOT, he could be any of those forms. He could be base that transforms into 1 or 2 or more of those forms. Like they'd have a lot of potential for what they could do with him for categories and links and like the different forms that they want to give him. The only thing is, like, I've said many times in the past that like Dokkan and Legends having a big crossover campaign is something that I wouldn't really see, because Dokkan doesn't have like a unique character like SHALLOT to give to Legends. But obviously Fighters like didn't have an in-game Dokkan collab, but we had a Fighters collab and got a 21 Dokkan Fest. So there's no reason why we couldn't have a like mini Legends collab and get a SHALLOT Dokkan Fest. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. When it comes to crossover, who would you like to see as a unit getting a Dokkan Fest for global, or for JP, sorry, or for everyone for Dokkan? I have to remember it's same time for everyone, for everything now. Because remember that 21, like one of her 30% was crossover, not one of her main leads, but we've got a bunch of crossover buffs with the new heroes characters as well. So they could quite easily, if we got like a, let's say we did get like a Gohan Black, for example, he could have like crossover, Corroded Body and Mind. I mean, I guess this guy has Corroded Body and Mind as well, but things like Accelerated Battle, Exploding Rage, Realm of Gods, like Future Saga, like there could definitely be some interesting options, but throwing crossover in as one of his 170 leads would then of course give the option to run all of those other crossover characters on that team as well, and then that could definitely be something that would be very interesting and very fun. So let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think we will even get a crossover Dokkan Fest? Obviously, just because we got 21 in the December slot last year doesn't mean it is going to happen again. So what are your thoughts on that possibility? And then, yeah, let me know who you would like to see as a new crossover Dokkan Fest down below in the comments. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.